Nerd morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and today we're going to be talking about Stargirl, which is a show that is available on the CW app as well as HBO Max. Now, this is, I think, a fascinating story and has a lot of really cool things that they do here. It revolves around a character named Courtney who takes on the mantle from Starman after the Justice Society of America was all killed, and takes that role up as Stargirl. And this story really has a lot of elements of family, and we're building a new Justice Society of America, and it has a lot of interesting things that it's doing. But I think one of the first things that really needs to be talked about it is the intended audience. Now, this show was rated PG, meaning that it was not having as much violence or language or other type of content that you'd maybe be expecting from a TV-14 show like, say, Arrow, the types of things that the CW has often done, or the things that made HBO really, really popular, like Game of Thrones, which had an MA rating. Now, that means that there are going to be certain individuals who jump in and are expecting maybe a heavy, impactful, more mature story, and that's just simply not what this is. So people might be disappointed if they are going into this expecting some type of mature story when this is a younger audience that is intended. This is really, I would say, focused towards younger teenagers. That is the key focused audience for this. And if you were going in expecting something different, then I could see you walking away disappointed. But if you're planning on going into this expecting what you're going to be getting, I think they offer some really, really cool things in this show. Now, one of the cool things that this offers is a whole wide cast of characters. There's a whole bunch of characters that we don't really have anywhere else that's been really represented in film, and that's awesome to see these live action versions of these characters. Stargirl obviously being the first one on that list. Now, they've had other iterations of Wildcat in a couple of different shows, but they do a really good job of introducing a new Wildcat with the character Yolanda. Now, a new Hourman is also introduced in the character of Mike. Dr. Midnight is being introduced and recreated with the character Beth. And we also have the character Stripey, or Stripe, who is the young sidekick for Starman, who is now the older mentor character, and his name is Pat. Now, these are all the new characters that essentially create the Justice Society of America. But also we have some older, different villains that we get, and these are characters that we also don't really get to see very often used in live action. The characters like the Gambler, Icicle, the Dragon King, Dr. Ito, the Fiddler, Sportsmaster, and Tigress. And I think that there are probably various reasons why these intellectual properties aren't used as often. They're not quite as popular, and the Stargirl show may be lacking a little bit of like star power because they don't have big characters. The biggest one, really, I think, out of this list of characters are Stargirl. I see that character off and on through the comics, but doesn't get a ton of attention really anymore. I every once in a while see villains like Sportsmaster and Tigress that show up in different things, but really they had a lot of these lesser known characters, and I thought that was really cool to explore and see some of these characters and what they're able to do. But some people might be wanting a little bit of more familiar characters, and that doesn't really the show doesn't really give us a lot when it comes to familiar characters that we've seen over and over. What we get is a new, fresh cast of characters. Now, this show being intended for a younger audience, it has younger hero characters, and I thought this was really cool, really empowering. There's a lot of stuff that they have, like kind of this passing of the torch type of element, which I thought was super cool. A bit of it also kind of felt like, for me, like dress up, and there were these characters that weren't really able to fully embody these new Justice Society of America characters, so it seemed like they didn't really arrive ever to that status of hero. Though they were trying to do that, it kind of felt a little bit lacking, I think, there. And maybe that's just because I'm not the intended audience. And I think that has a lot to do with how well this story is really going to be received. People who are younger teens, they might really, really resonate with these younger characters in a way that me as an older individual didn't quite as much. So I really think that this is a good pick, particularly for younger audiences. And that's awesome because we have all of these different stories for a little bit more mature audiences that are superhero themed right now that are going on. And then we have some stuff that are also younger, like younger kids. And this kind of bridges that gap of in between for the DC universe. And I think that that's really, really awesome that we got that. Overall, my opinion of this show is maybe like a 7 out of 10. And I think that there were some really clever things that they were doing. I loved the elements that they had with family and the discussions with family and the importance of that and all of those types of things that they were doing there. I thought it was really interesting to see villains who had families and children and how they worked with being a parent as well as being a supervillain, because that's something I don't think that we really see very often, and I thought that was particularly interesting. If you guys have seen this show, what did you guys think? Would you guys give it a recommendation or would you not? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be fascinated to hear. You can follow me on other social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Nerd Morning. So be sure to follow along there as well. Again, thank you, and we'll catch you guys next time.